Alright, for the start of this video, I'm just going to show you how my settings in the system have been set differently since I've changed to front speakers and have put ballistic matting on the doors. So that's how we're going to start the video, and then I'm going to give you a general impression of all the work that's been done, and if it's worth it, and what we look for in the future. So here goes. This is a quick beginning to some of the changes that have happened with the stereo. Since I've switched and put in the kickers in the front, and basically it's just the kickers and the four doors of the car have been basically ballistic matted and so forth. This is what my bass and treble settings are now. I have treble right in the middle. Excuse me. Treble right in the middle. Mid-range right in the middle. The bass has to drop too. And the subwoofer is down like 3 notches. This is in big contrast because before we did the matting in the car, the bass was basically, I gotta try to remember this too. The bass was basically about the middle. The subwoofer was 1 down. Ugh. The treble was right about there, one from the top, and the mid-range was right about there. That was my settings before we switched. Now I'm going to go into more details. I'm going to go into more details. We're going to save this as to the difference in the car since I've done this. I haven't done any changes with the DTS neural sound. Speed volume compensation, even with the sound, with the auto sound system disconnected, the speed volume compensation still worked. So I'm going to leave that on high. It added just a little bit of extra sound, and I like the neural, and of course the balance and the fader, I keep in normal, balance, and fade. So I just wanted to have this as a quick video before I start talking about the differences I've heard in the sound system. This is Verdier out. Right. Now that you've seen the video, you can see there is definitely a definite difference with the speakers. My main complaint on this system has always been the shrilliness of the highs. The car, if you play the sound at high volumes, and this can go a little less for the EX series because they don't have a center, but it's also with the EX series, the highs were always a big problem, especially if you played at very high volume. At low volumes, this system's fine for most people. But for people like me who don't hear that well or like listening at very high volumes, this system has been an utter disaster. So this is what I've done so far. As you can see in my last video, I replaced the center with a kicker. It's a mid-range, mid-lower range. It's nothing special. And the front and rear doors have had ballistic matting put on them. That's to reduce vibrations and lower outside sound, although I haven't heard that much difference from the outside sound, but it is good for vibrations and to keep things from flopping around in the car as far as vibrations are concerned. The front speakers, which involve a 6.5-inch main driver and a 1-inch tweeter, both components have been replaced with the Kicker QS series. These are high-end kickers. While Kicker's not like a super duper high-end speaker, it is still a good speaker, a very good speaker. This particular speaker normally goes for about $450 for a pair. So these are good speakers, and they come with a crossover, which I did use in this case. I'm still running on the original amp. I haven't decided whether I'm going to change the amp or not. If I do, I'll let you guys know. These are my general impressions. The first thing I noticed from the very beginning is the shrilliness is gone. I don't know what it was about Foster and their speakers. The tweeters that came out of there were very heavy. They're different tweeters in the Touring than they are in the EX. The EX are not quite as shrill, but they're still not so good, and they're not as detailed. Apparently, Foster seems to think that shrilliness equals detail. High screechiness equals detail. No, it equals a headache, especially at high volume. All that is gone now. Now, I do get some shrilliness. I mean, the system, as you can see, I moved everything into the middle back into normal range for my mid-range and highs. Before I had to put the highs all the way down. Actually, I put them all the way down to 0. And I put the mid-range 1 from the bottom because I couldn't handle it. It would just blow your ears out. It was so awful at times. Now, since adding these new speakers, you can see already I can put everything in the mid-range. The sound is smoother, much smoother, much more detailed, and definitely clearer. The clarity obviously comes from the quality of the speakers, the kicker speakers, and also from the matting of the doors. We mat the doors all the way outside and on the inside parts of it as well. It was a lot of matting done. I used one speaker speaker kit matting, and one which is like 20 square feet, which is a trunk kit. And I've used almost all of that. So there's a lot to do because the car basically all it has is a diaper between the outer door and the inner frame. And all that is totally open air. So I did that and matted all of that. So overall clarity is much better. The highs are normal. They are no longer screeching as if to say, look, you have a high-end system because I can screech loudly. System's much more balanced. Now, obviously, I still have the rear speakers to replace, which are also going to be a pair of kickers, and a rear sub, which I'm going to replace with a kicker subwoofer, as opposed to these Fosters, which are really not particularly good speakers. They're fine for regular low volume, but not for high volume. One other thing I found out is right now I have both the deck subwoofer, which is the Foster subwoofer, and my I think it's 12 inches in the back. My 12-inch subwoofer box is also hooked. They're both running, so I'm running a lot of bass. That's why my bass is lowered. Plus, I haven't really balanced out my bass properly. And it's kind of stupid to do it right now until I have all the speakers in. I don't foresee the rear deck being all that much more difficult to do. But, of course, we're going to have to mat the whole trunk down, too. It's very possible I may end up taking the boxed subwoofer out and just running off the 8-inch subwoofer because I don't need to change people's heart rhythms. I just like a good thump when necessary and some deepness as necessary. I don't like it when cars drive by and you go into a mild heart attack. Some people are into that. I ain't. So that is one of the things we're gonna have to look into, and that's when once all that is put together and I've started to balance out the system, I can give you an idea whether the amp has to be replaced. Another caveat that's very important for you to understand about the music I play is my music comes from various sources. A lot of it's my own CDs, and I take those out as FLACs, FLAC files, which is a lossless kind of compression. Unfortunately, not all the recordings are the best, and I got a lot of varied recordings. And I also haven't found a good program that will normalize my music. So I get a lot of volumes up and down, and sometimes I still get very high highs that are a little too high and a little too screechy even for my taste. That has a lot to do with the quality of the music I'm putting in through and the recordings, mostly the recordings. So you got to keep all of that in mind when you're doing this. Now, funny thing, I've tried running with the sound system, ACM, I think it's called. Auto canceling, it's the one that run the microphones in the car to shape the sound a little in the car. It's that first thing that we unplugged at the very beginning. For some reason, it's just slipped my mind what the heck it's called. Auto canceling mics, whatever they are. I've run it with them on and off. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't hear a single freaking difference. They seem to be exactly the same with them on and with them off. That's not my final word on that, but it's going to take some time. Once the entire system's set, then I will try running it with it on and with it off and let you know. Another interesting thing is it does not apparently control the volume based on the road noise. Aside from what you would think it would, it doesn't. That still works even with the ACM disconnected. So keep that in mind. You're still not going to get the maximum volume out of this radio unless you turn on your God, voice. Unless you turn off your unless you turn on your road noise vibrator. Ah, God, what is the matter with me? Well, dudes, this is the problem. I have brain damage. When I say I have brain damage, I really do have some kind of brain damage. But you'll have to turn on your noise compensation systems in your deck to handle road noise. Put it at maximum, then you'll get your maximum volume at high speeds. It does make a difference. Until I find a way to bypass that, you're going to want to use that. At this point, is it worth it? Most definitely. I haven't been driving this car much. The reason I haven't been driving it is because in order to enjoy my drive to work, I want to listen to my music, and I listen at high volumes. It was impossible. It was so screechy, even with the highs all the way down. It was impossible to deal with. For all you guys that are nervous about doing this thing, don't worry about it. The doors come off very easily. Each door has one screw as far as I can tell. The rest are clips. These cars are brand new, so breaking clips is not going to be as easy as usual because they're still going to be very rubbery and in good shape. So don't worry about it. I mean, this was my baby. I was worried about destroying the car and all that. No, it's very easy, very user-friendly. It's very Honda. Is this worth it? Abso-frickin-lutely. We're not going to probably do the rest of the speakers until about the 22nd. Getting back into the bay is going to take a little longer than expected. It's busy. We'll probably start with the rear speakers, replace those, and the rear sub. And then we'll do matting. And maybe we might look into replacing the center speaker with a 6.5 inch. It's going to be very difficult. There's not a lot of room in there for a 6.5. I might have to do a little cutting. We'll see how it is. The Kicker 3.5 seems to be holding up pretty well. Anything to consider while doing this? No, it's basically pretty simple. I may end up having to change the amp, but I haven't really decided. It might be good enough for me afterwards because the speakers, just changing the front speakers and the center, have made a massive difference to the stereo. And now I drive the car a lot because I like listening to my music in it, and I like driving this car. It's fun. The Ford ain't fun. The Ford's very comfortable, though. I'll tell you that overall, and it's quiet. That's something else. It's much quieter on the inside. But that's pretty much the end of the report on what's going on with the stereo. I want to let you guys know you can... you guys are welcome to email me at verdier400@gmail.com if you have any questions. I'm one of those few people, I don't have a lot of people who watch me. I'm one of those few people that if you get in touch with me and talk to me, I'll give you my telephone number. We can talk on the phone and we can, talk about these things if you have any concerns of what I've seen. It's a piece of cake, guys. It really is. It's not hard. It's very easy. Honda has made this very easy. The amp is going to be a little bit more difficult to replace. But the speakers, they're not hard. They're not hard. So in a couple of weeks, I'll probably have a video giving you information on how the back deck went and how difficult it was to take out. I'm willing to bet money it's very easy. I'm willing to bet if I went out there right now, I could probably take it out myself without any serious trouble. So that's pretty much the end of this. Highly recommend the speaker change to anybody who wants high volume and better fidelity. I was limited in my resources of what I could spend. I don't have a lot of money. But I got a good accommodation from Kicker, so I was able to do this. So if anyone has any questions, remember, email me. I'm more than happy to talk. If I answer you, do me the favor of answering me back that you got your email, because nobody responds to me. And aside from hurting my feelings, I have no idea if anyone's getting responses from me. I don't know if they're getting my emails. Just let me know. Also, I'm always happy to help, I don't have a life. All I have is an Impasta Wawa, a beagle, a strange woman in the house, and food. And you can see I eat plenty of that. And of course, I got Ruby and Big Blue, which is the Ford to talk about. So this is Verdier signing out. Of course, I made it long. I always do. Any questions, get in touch with me. I'm always happy to talk to you guys. Take care, peace out, and until the next video.